Hello, my name is Constantin Orasan, and I'm going to present joint research with my colleagues from University of Surrey, Kingfisher Labs, and Just Access. This is a collaborative research between academia and industry with the aim to improve access to legal information. We focused on making sessions of UK Supreme Court hearings more accessible. In order to do this, we had to transcribe the Supreme Court hearings, and we also had to link them to the court decisions. This information is very important when a new case is being prepared to provide guidance to Court of Appeals. It is also useful when training legal professionals and can be also used to develop future policy. The project was funded by Innovate UK, a UK funding body. When we talk about making this information more accessible, we have to face a number of challenges. The first one is that the audio material is usually very long. Cases can go on for several days, each day several hours, so it can be easily more than 10 hours of audio material that needs to be transcribed. Therefore, when we want to access any information from this audio material, the process becomes very time-consuming and very expensive, requiring a significant amount of effort from the legal professionals who want to extract the relevant information. Now, if we combine this with the fact that in the UK alone, there are over 449,000 cases each year across all the court tribunals, and all this information is normally transcribed by humans, we realize that most of the cases are not accessible because it's far too expensive and requires too much effort to do it. To this end, we developed an automatic linking tool that takes Supreme Court judgments and links them to time spans from the court hearings. So what you see on the screen now is a screenshot of our tool. On the right-hand side, we have the court hearing with the video and also the automatic transcript. Each time span of the transcript is marked by a start time and end time. On the left-hand side, we have paragraphs from the judgment, and they are used to navigate the videos. Therefore, a user can click on a paragraph from the judgment and be offered a number of timestamps from the videos that are relevant to what's being discussed in the judgment. In this way, being provided with a quick way of navigating the court hearings. Obviously, this was not easy to achieve, and we developed a pipeline that consisted of two different parts. The first part is presented in a previous paper and focused on the development of an improved speech recognition system that was customized to work well on the legal domain. The second part, that is the focus of this presentation, is the automatic linking between the text and the video bookmarks. The contributions of this research are: we introduce an application of doc-to-doc information retrieval between two distinct linguistic modes. On the one hand, we have the court decisions that are written material, and on the other hand, we have spoken material that comes from the transcription of court hearings. And the models we developed are customized to work well on the legal domain, to take into account the jargon and vocabulary. We compile and release a publicly available dataset which consists of links between segments of the UK Supreme Court hearings to paragraphs from the court judgments. We also show how by customizing GPT-3 embeddings, we can produce the best results with the respect of the information retrieval methods developed. The first step was to compile the data required for our research. We selected 7 UK Supreme Court case judgments, which had over 1.4 million tokens, and the corresponding court hearings that had over 53 hours of video materials. We transcribed the video sessions using our custom speech-to-text model that we developed before. We pre-processed and segment the judgments into paragraphs. We treat the paragraphs from the judgment as the query and the transcript of the case is the corpus in which we have to search the answer for the query. For our research, we experimented with several retrieval methods. We tried with standard frequency-based methods like BM25, but we also experimented with embedding-based methods like document similarity with pooling, where we use globe vectors, entailment search, where we checked whether the paragraph entails a time span. We use legal bear to embed both the paragraphs from the judgments and the time spans from the transcript. We also use asymmetric semantic search and GPT question answer linking. You can find details about all these methods in the paper. As I said before, there is no gold standard that can be used for our research to evaluate the accuracy of our retrieval methods. For this reason, we had to develop our own gold standard. In theory, we could take a court case and annotate all the links between the paragraphs in the judgments to the time spans. But this number is very large. If we take a case that has 50 paragraphs in the judgment and 300 segments from the transcript, we would end up with 15,000 links that need to be manually checked, which is obviously not feasible to do manually. For this reason, we use a zero-shot prefetch stage where we embedded all the judgments and transcript segments from one case. So we worked only on one case first in the same vector space. We calculated the cosine similarity between the paragraphs in the judgments with the time spans from the transcript, and we selected the 20 closest pairs. We manually annotated, evaluated these 20 links to decide which model produces the best model. And then we applied this metric across all the cases we selected in order to develop the gold standard. However, when we developed the gold standard, we used a slightly different approach. We extracted 15 closest pairs between the paragraphs in the judgment and the timestamps in the transcription, but we also added 5 more segments that were deemed as the furthest away according to the cosine similarity. All these links were manually checked by legal professionals in order to indicate whether the link is correct and or is incorrect. We evaluated our methods using mean average precision and recall. In contrast to other information retrieval scenarios where the user may want to have the answer in the first 5 hits, in our case, users expressed their willingness to consider up to 15 hits when they explore a course judgment. For this reason, we calculated map for 5, 10, and 15. The evaluation results show that the GPT model performs the best across almost all the metrics. The only exception is that the BM25 performs best when we calculate the recall at 10. As a result of the previous stage, we compiled a data set of 3,620 links between court judgments, segments, and the timestamps from the transcripts. Obviously, this data set is fairly small if we want to develop a classifier that can decide whether there is a link between judgments and hearing segments. We would like to annotate more data, but manual annotation is very expensive and time-consuming. For this reason, we decided to experiment with data augmentation using generative AI. The positive instances in our augmented dataset were generated by prompting instruct GPT with the following prompt. I want you to act like a British lawyer, paraphrase the following text, and the text given was a text extracted from the court hearings. For negative instances, we randomly selected paragraphs from one judgment and segments from transcripts of a different case. In this way, we were sure that there is no link between the two segments. In order to reduce randomness and create difficult negative instances, we selected pairs with the highest cosine similarity score. So at least on surface, if we compare just the words, the two segments seem to talk about the same thing. In addition, we used in-batch negative sampling during training in order to generate extra negative instances. As a result of the data augmentation process, we ended up with a larger data set with 7,248 judgment-hearing links that had over 42 million tokens. We also we asked a legal expert to randomly check some of the instances generated in order to have a sanity check. We ran several experiments. You'll find the details in the paper. We had, as a baseline model, we used logistic regression based on GPT embeddings. We developed a cross-encoder built on top of digital version of Roberta base. We also used cross-tension with in-batch negative sample. And we also customized the GPT-3 embeddings for our task according to the guidelines available from OpenAI. This slide presents the results of our evaluation. Because we have a classification problem, we calculated accuracy, precision, and recall and F measure. The table presents the results of various models trained on the original dataset where we have minus, or on the augmented dataset where we have plus. The best results are being obtained by the GPT-3 customized model with cosine similarity. This is both in terms of F1 measure and precision. The cross-encoder obtains a better recall result, but the precision is much lower. For our use case, we prefer a higher precision rather than higher recall because we want to show more correct links to our users rather than retrieve more links. So for this reason, the GPT-3 customized with cosine similarity is probably the best choice for our scenario. More results and more discussion can be found in the paper. Thank you very much for your attention. If you are interested in the research, you can find more details in our paper, and also you can find me at the poster session of the conference. Thank you.